Okay, I want to read what is on the chart. I'll try to read each section of it. There's about 6 sections. A section shows C, a falling stone, representing an impact of energy against inertia. And there's a little point on there called D. In the second section of this, it shows C striking D, and it shows a lot of other points called E. And it says it says the line AB represents the surface of water as an inertial line of equalized pressures. E represents the reproduction of the impact in octave harmonics along the inertial plane. The next diagram says under it, diagram shows process of energy reproduction in waves. This represents the first pressure zone. Next diagram, it says this diagram shows the wave develop to its second pressure zone. Next diagram, it says diagram showing wave develop to its third pressure zone approaching trough and crest. And the last one says wave completed to its fourth pressure zone, which is called the overtone of the wave. And then it says all energy is expressed in motion. All motion is expressed in waves. All energy is reproduced or transferred or transmitted by impact of energy against inertia. Okay, and now to read where I left off. Within each consecutive octave, every expression of motion is sequentially produced and reproduced in every atom of every element until it is finally recorded in the inertial planes. All of the energy of the universal constant is existent in inertia, and all its variations in accumulation are stored in the sequential inertial planes of equilibrium, which have their chemical representation in the inert gases, from which they borrow their appearance of existence of mass in motion. The inert gases are the storehouses of all of the states of motion contained within the mass of the wave. The purpose of the wave is to transfer states of motion from one potential to another. This is nature's method of accumulating the energy constant from low potential to high potential, octave by octave, in a series of progressive steps until maximum motion has been reached. Every state of motion is the result of a concept of that state. The purpose of motion is to contract concept into form, and then to expand it into the memory of form. All concepts are but recollections of eternal ideas. All forms are but the regenerated memories of universal mind. Each action of motion is recorded by a reaction in the master tone inert gas of each octave. Any expression of motion, whether of gravitation or radiation, or whether the tossing of a marble or the revolving of a planet, is simultaneously recorded by impact against the inertial plane of every octave of recorded motion in the universe of dimension, and from there produced and reproduced sequentially in waves of mass in motion. The sequences of a wave are tonal, and its tonal intervals have an appearance of existence in masses of relative dimensions. Let us repeat the definition of a wave. The wave is nature's method of transferring the dimensionless concept of form in inertia to dimensional form in mass, in motion, by an impact of the energy of the concept against the inertial plane. All motion appears in mass and disappears in a plane. This is the process of evolution and devolution in its utmost simplicity. The appearance of motion in mass is by way of the positive tones of the wave, and its disappearance into planes is by way of the negative tones of the wave. An impact of a stone upon the surface of the water transfers both its positive gravitative actions and its negative radiative reactions simultaneously upon the entire surface of the water. Near the point of impact, small harmonic circles become the contracted basis of opposing cones of high altitudes. Near the point of impact, short, high waves of power-time dimension simultaneously pile themselves up in sequential stages. 10 miles or 1,000 miles away, harmonic circles of increasing larger bases, which become the expanded bases of cones of low altitudes, are simultaneously marked off on the inertial plane of the water's surface. These are the expanding radiative cones of lessening generated energy, which are dissipating the energy of the impact into its equivalent in speed. These opposing forces simultaneously proceed in opposite directions from the harmonic reproductions of the impact on the water's surface. The generative cones are ever seeking contracted gravitational centers to continue their appearance as form, and the radiative cones are ever seeking the expansion of equilibrium in inertia to dissipate their appearance as form into plane, from which all form is evolved. Each wave is therefore built up simultaneously in sequential stages in sequential preponderance of opposite dimensions. Waves are not those parts which are either wholly above or wholly below their axis. One wave of any dimension is that portion of the sequence which is bounded by the turning point of one crest and the next trough. The inertial plane of the wave coincides with the line of axis of the wave. A wave begins at the inertial plane and extends in both directions from the inertial plane to its repetitive point at trough and crest. The popular concept that light travels along undulating waves is not in conformity with the laws of motion. Waves are constructed in sequential stages until they meet at their overtone positions in trough and crest. No state of motion travels beyond the boundaries of its own wave mass. It is reproduced by union with its opposite effect at every inertial plane, which divides masses in motion in the universe of dimension. Neither is the wave on one plane. The wave is a spiral. The wave is not simply a curved line. The line of the wave is the moving vortex line of the maximum high pressure of the opposed cones of the wave. The axis of the wave is in the inertial plane of birth of the wave. A wave is not a single unit. It is a series of two opposed units. A wave is not simply a line. A wave is mass in opposition. The wave is a series of two opposed volumes, the forms of which are cones. The moving line of the wave is a spiral record of the variable instability of motion. The wave is too complex a subject to more than touch upon in this volume. In the second volume, it will be charted in all of its complexities while considering the structure of the atom. A study of the various wave charts will assist in visualizing the structure of the wave and its changing plane. Now it's time for me to put another chart on. Now to read what is on this chart, which there's a lot in it. I hope it's big enough for you to see, but I will read what's on the bottom. Pressure zone diagram. The universal octave constant divides itself into 4 units of 7 tones. Each unit of 2 tones is divided by pressure zones, which cause all mass to rotate and to revolve in spiral orbits.